Yeah. Hey yo, what's the deal? It's the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon. We pull the strings. And right now we're gonna finish up the Azor Ahai like I promised you I would. So I'm gonna finish it up right now and give you the last couple of people who could be Azor Ahai, and then we'll debate it. Oh, you can debate it. Or hit me in the comments and then we can figure out exactly who we believe Azor Ahai it is. Alright. Now there is a little there's a little bit of people that I keep coming across, and they keep telling me that that Tyrion is a Lannister. I do not believe this. So the fact that I don't believe Tyrion's a Lannister, a Targaryen, I'm not really gonna go into the Tyrion prophecy of him being Azor Ahai. I don't believe he is. I don't believe he will be. And if he is, I think that sucks. Because a little midget being Azor Ahai is stupid. You know what I mean? So, basically, we have to get back. We know Azor Ahai is. Azor Ahai is also commonly known as the Prince who was promised, a legendary hero who defeated the others, along with the Whites and everything else with his sword Lightbringer. Now, Melisandre believes that Stannis Baratheon is Azor Ahai, but a lot of people, especially if you read the books, it gives you clues that maybe that he is not. It might be, alright, and also you have Daenerys. We're going to go with her first. But Daenerys, she has a vision while she's in the House of Undying. And Daenerys sees a prophecy, a vision of Rhaegar naming his son Aegon, claiming that Aegon is the prince that was promised. But then he also says the dragon shall have 3 heads. Could that mean Azor Ahai is not just one person but 3? I guess so. That would hint that Daenerys and Jon Snow are 2 of the heads, but who could be the 3rd head? And that's basically what we gotta think about right now. So when we look at Daenerys Targaryen, and that's a good chance that she could be, because obviously, like I said before, you have to have 3 things to be Azor Ahai. You have to be able to wake dragons from stone. That's a check. You have to be reborn above salt and fire. I don't see the salt there, unless you want to say that the lady, when she jumped into the pyre, was crying, because it seemed like she was crying. Well, in the show, she was definitely crying. I don't know what she said. She goes, "I want your screams," and she goes, "You won't get me screams," and then she goes, "I will." So that's probably it. So we talk about Daenerys, and then after Sam tells Maester Aemon of the rumors about Daenerys Targaryen and the dragons, Aemon becomes certain that Daenerys is the prophesied leader. Now, Master Aemon is also the person who put the kibosh on Stannis, trying to say, "Oh, is his sword burning? Is it doing anything like that?" And Master Aemon is also the one who thought Rhaegar was the prince who was promised. So Master Aemon does have a track record of being wrong. So, but he does say, and I quote, "No one has ever looked for a girl. It was a prince that was promised, not a princess. Rhaegar, I thought. The smoke was from the fire that devoured Summerhall on the day of his birth. The salt was from the tears of those who have died. He shared my belief that he was young, but he later became persuaded that it was his own son who would fulfill the prophecy. For a comet had been seen above King's Landing on the night Aegon was conceived, and Rhaegar was certain that the bleeding star had to be a comet. What fools we were, who thought to ourselves so wise. The error crept in for translation. Dragons are neither male or female. Barth saw the truth in that, but no one, now or then or other, as changeable as flames. Language who cares about that point? That means nothing. Alright, so what we have here is we have Rhaegar believing his son was that. But then, now, Aemon believes Melisandre is. Dany is. Can Dany be? Let's see. He suddenly tries to convince Sam Aemon that to go to Old Time and to help him get to Daenerys, because she's the princess as promised. The prophecy was originally made by dragons who are neither male or female, meaning Azor Ahai. Maybe being reborn may not be a man. Alright, I can buy that. Daenerys was born on Dragonstone, That's true. It's an island in the narrow sea, immense salt, and reborn of the mother of dragons by burning the pyre. That would be her smoke. On the pyre, she had 3 petrified dragon eggs that hatched. So she woke the dragons. That's a check. And on that morning, the first time the red garment appeared in the sky when the stars bleed. So it looks pretty good. In addition, from the prophecy from the Witchwoods prophesied that the prince that was promised would be born from the line of Prince Ares and I can't pronounce her name. Daenerys is the daughter of Ares and Rhaegar. So it really looks that Daenerys has a strong claim to being the prince that is promised. Me personally, I think it's one person. It could be 3. They want to say it's going to take 3 people to defeat these others. Then I will go along with the fact that she is one of the people. But I do not believe that she is Azor Ahai. It's as they claim to be. That's just not me. I just don't believe it. Now, Victarion Greyjoy. People put up posts and comments about Victarion Greyjoy. I know he's going to have a major role to play in the next book, but I do not believe he is Azor Ahai. But he has some type of claim. While he's traveling to capture Daenerys, Victarion Greyjoy gets a mortal wound in his arm, and it's healed by the Red Priestess of R'hllor. And afterward, they say his arm resembles roasted pig, and it visually smokes. The ritual was performed at sea, which provides him the salt. Victarion arm smokes afterward, which provides the smoke. Victarion was saved from death, yes, and that could be considered some type of rebirth, but I don't think that's a rebirth. And Victarion previously beat his wife to death, which they want to say that's a Nisi connection, but Nisi, she didn't do nothing wrong. He just did that because he had to do it, Azor Ahai. He had to get the blade right, and that's why he did it. So I'm going to say no for Victarion Greyjoy. I don't see it whatsoever that he's Azor Ahai. It's not Rhaegar, alright? I know what they want to say, that he was born during the tragedy of Summerhall and the fire was used to rake the dragons. Obviously he's dead, unless he's coming back, and I don't believe he's coming back. So that ends him. So right now, if you look at it, I'm saying Azor Ahai. I would love it to be Stannis, and I still believe it could be Stannis. I just don't see the connection of the Targaryen bloodline of Ares and his wife. Only one I see that could possibly be is Jon Snow and Daenerys. The third head, I don't know. I know that the other one is fake. I don't believe that Aegon is real, so I don't believe it's him. I would like it to be Stannis, but what people don't understand about Stannis, he doesn't want to be king. Stannis is just doing his duty. He does what he has to do. And if he has to step down, then he'll step down willingly, because that's the type of man he is. I don't believe it's him. I wish it was him. I don't believe it is, though. I think he will be king, but I don't think he is Azor Ahai. I believe that Azor Ahai, if you want to go with the obvious, and I mean obvious for book readers, obvious, I would have to say it's Jon Snow. There's no one else that gives you, unless George is setting you up to think it's him. There's no way else you can say. Jon's wound smoke, Bowen Marsh cries while providing the salt. Patrick's bloody star laden is Heldry is in the air above. That's that. Melisandre looks into the fire, and all she sees is ash, and all she sees is snow. That's it. That could be that. Jon Snow in the dream, he sees himself finding the others with a burning sword in his hand. If having dragon blood is prerequisite, is the requirement, then Jon's farm truly is Rhaegar. Then that satisfies that which we have to believe, that Jon's father is Rhaegar. It's either Rhaegar or Robert Baratheon. There's no proof that Robert Baratheon was ever with Lyanna, so it has to be Rhaegar. And Jon chooses his duties of the Night Watch over his love for Ygritte, indirectly causing her death when she attacks Castle Black, but then he also sees himself killing her with the sword in a dream. So, I would have to say Jon is a very, very, very strong case of being that. So, to wrap this whole Azor Ahai thing up, I would have to say no to Daenerys, no to Stannis, no to Victarion Greyjoy, but yes to Jon Snow. Unless George is messing with us and trying to pull a fast one, I have to say that. And I'm not even going to take into account that Tyrion could be it. I don't believe it. I don't, it's just too much. I think that you can go a million ways with this story. And you can look back, I can look back and I can make a claim for anyone to be just about anything. But I think people are just putting too much into it, wanting too many different things to go down. And I don't think that's the way George wanted it. I think people just ran with it and just went crazy with this book. Oh my God! And Tyrion, I think Tyrion's a Lannister, man. And that's it. And if he's not, he's now Azor Ahai. You know what I mean? And that's it. I know that the one quote, the guy says, all these Lannisters around you, that says, these Targaryens around you, and then you, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's something like that. It's close to that. Which could mean he is one of them, or he's not. And George likes to do that, but I do not believe Tyrion is that. So, Azor Ahai is not Daenerys. Has a good chance to be, but I think that's just out there to let you know. Put it out there. It's Jon Snow, and that's it. And that's how I believe it. I'm also going to give you, that's all I'm going to give you on this video. It's going to be a quick one, 15 minutes. I had to go back to the little iPhone because my computer's messing up and the frame rate was down. So I got to figure that out again. That's why it's taking me so long to get these up again. But I'm going to do a whole story. I was trying to get someone to do it with me because I don't like doing this by myself and everything else. I'm going to do a whole thing on Littlefinger Peter Baelish because Peter Baelish obviously pulls the strings like House Teflon does, and I respect Peter Baelish even though I think his end and demise will come by in the next book. But I'm going to give you a little bit about Peter Baelish and my thoughts on Peter Baelish. But until then, this is the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon, unshaven, and still sexier than your man. Get at me. Peace.